What's up, y'all? Shout out the new merch, man. It's here, it's here, it's here. Go ahead and go to thatman.store. That's thatman.store. And you can get the hand down, man down merchandise right now. Go ahead and click that, man. We appreciate y'all.
That's cool.
Welcome to another episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. That is the dynamic one, my guy Bluu. We got a very special guest, another legend, but let's pay some bills first, Bluu.
I got you, Pops. What up, y'all? What up, y'all? Shouts out to Underdog. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. That's M-A-R-K. They're matching a first-time deposit of up to $1,000. Also, you can get a specialty pick. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out my YouTube channel. I got some new vlogs coming this week, some other footage. And Pops, you better do this introduction right, man. Do not mess it up. Get your papers out, whatever you need. But it's a big day at the Mark Jackson Show. Come on, man.
Yeah, heck of a resume. A big time basketball player, big time individual, one of the greatest power forwards that's ever lived, part of the legendary Fab Five at Michigan, 5-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Star, 1994 Rookie of the Year. That makes us having 2 Rookie of the Years on the show today. Not you, Bluu.
Thanks.
Did an outstanding job calling games for TNT. One of the classiest guys the game has ever seen. Now an author with a brand new book entitled By God's Grace, Detroit's Finest, the one and only Chris Webber. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, man? Thank y'all for having me on, man.
It was a lot of fun. We certainly appreciate everything you stand for. And the man that you are, man, you've impacted so many and continue to do so. Thank you so much for joining us.
Looking forward to it.
Bro, I want you to know, congratulations, man. I got the book. Outstanding read. Bluu, are you paying attention?
Huh?
Are you paying attention?
Nah, Pops. It's something that I got to get off before we get anywhere. I just want to know, Chris, you remember this? You remember this? What?
I remember.
Why did you? That's my father that you threw it on like that. I just had to go look back at the foot. This is my father that you dunked on like that. That's my pops that I see like, yo, what's up? You remember that? Do you at least remember it?
I remember that, man. That's when I had young legs, man. And Mark should have tried to take a charge. That's what happens when you play the right way sometimes. You're on the poster, man. So, but no, man, I remember that, man. But Mark was one of my favorite players from college days, so I felt a little bad about it. But, I was a young bull, man. I had to try to do it.
I did not get the impression that you strolled back and strutted back, swag on 100, that you felt bad about dunking on me.
I mean, later. I didn't feel bad about that, but you know what I'm saying, brother. You used to hit people with the, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I thought it was a charge, and I still do, but I didn't get the call. So,
but I had Spree and Billy O and them pumping me up, man. So back in those days, if you got a breakaway dunk or anything like that, so you had to make it count, man. Try to put it on ESPN, bro.
Absolutely. Well, let's get past that. Let's get past that, Bluu. Outstanding read, man. I started reading it and right away got teary-eyed because I got emotional. The love that you expressed and displayed for your parents and how their impact was on your life jumps out of the first 15, 19, 20 pages. It's incredible. Talk about that for me. Let's start on your dad.
Yeah, I got my personality from the court or my work ethic from watching my parents every day. So my father worked in the auto factory. He grew up in Mississippi in tough times and never made excuses, held us accountable. He was the disciplinarian on our block where, guys that were, upstanding gentlemen all the way to guys that were in trouble trying to change their life around would come and talk to him. And it wasn't that he was judgmental or anything. It was just that you could trust that he was who he said he was going to be and he was going to hold you accountable but not judge you. And my mother, she's a teacher. She taught at Mumford High School. Jamil Hill texted me the other day and told me that was one of her first interviews when I played in Michigan. But her being a teacher in Michigan for 30-something years, seeing her work ethic, how could you not go to practice and play hard? Or how could you, face life every day with fear when you see what they're doing? She's walking through metal detectors every day. That's something really to fear. So to me, man, I just... The book is just really thanking God for all the people that were in my life, from my parents to the PAL coaches, AAU coaches, people that, because our environments help shape us. And it was times where I really didn't understand the discipline of my parents, really didn't appreciate it. And now that I'm a parent, I'm like, man, I'm just so grateful that I had parents that weren't trying to be my friend, but, trying to guide me the right way.
Now you said, C-Web, you said that, I read that you said that this was one of the toughest things in your life, writing this book. Why?
Yeah, because of the process, so many things were said about me, and, I've done so many things, been through so many situations that, one, you had to make sure that you were correct in your accounts, and so I took a friend of mine, Peter Gilbert, who did Hoop Dreams. I took him with me, and I interviewed 40-something people, everyone from Tom Izzo, Coach Fisher, Jalen Rose, to people that were involved in the legal system when I was at Michigan and other things like that. And so, one, it was just the logistics of it and making sure it was right. But two, you have to be honest. And so you're going to relive a lot of things. What happens when you go through something and you forgive and you forget, but you bring it up 20 years later and you're more mature and you have to forgive again. Or you have to forgive yourself again, or, so it's just so many levels of it, but it was therapeutic. It was, it's really a celebration of a great career and wonderful people I've been around, but it definitely is something, I would definitely next time get a ghostwriter or something like that, because it takes an energy, bro. It takes an energy. Yeah.
You talk about, there were times like when you picked the high school to go to, when you wasn't even speaking to your dad because you was upset. Touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so, man, I talk in the book, everybody, wants to know about the Fab Five, but the Fab Five started in Detroit with me and Jalen playing on the same team at 12 years old. And we promised each other we were going to go to the same high school, right? Because we know what we're supposed to do. And I got an opportunity to go to this other school, Country Day. I didn't want to go. Out of our AAU team, it split right down the middle. Guys took advantage of that opportunity, and other guys went to Southwestern. And I was just upset. I thought my father, didn't know what he was doing. I thought he listened to my mom about education and how that was more important, and things like that. And when I look back, it was just the best situation. I look too that the pressure that they got at the time from everyone outside, and to be able to stay that strong, not knowing that they were making the right decision. So, yeah, I didn't start a conversation with my father. I'd get in the car and just sit there and be quiet. He wouldn't care. He'd just keep driving. And, I just really learned that, once I accepted it, I just was really grateful that, only the best for me was, that's all they were thinking about, not all the noise and everything else. So I really appreciate my father for that.
How close were we to missing out on the Fab Five? Because I heard that you was considering going to Michigan State.
Yeah, so Tom Izzo, when I was getting recruited by Michigan State, he was their main assistant coach. And as you guys know, you're usually closer with the assistant than the head coach because they were the ones that were recruiting you. And so, man, I went on a visit to Minnesota. Clem Haskins was the coach, and I was going there to make sure that he was getting visibility, but when I got off the plane, I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to Minnesota. It's too cold here, and it was just crazy snow. So we go to a football game, and I walk up the stairs of this football game, and I'm with their coaches, and it's a suite. And they say, hey, come inside and say hi. Go inside, shake some hands, and come out. And so the athletic director's wife of Michigan State called and got a photographer to take a picture of me in the suite, and the NCAA called, said I made all these violations, and at that point, my family and I felt like you're gonna try to force us to go to your school. I was already going there, so with me, it knocked it out, and Coach Izzo knew it at that time too. That move knocked it out. But yeah, I thought I was a Spartan. I love Steve Smith. I love Magic, and they told me they was gonna let me play point guard like Mark. So I don't know if it'll work, but that's what they told me, and that's what I was doing. So yeah, man, it was almost Michigan State for a minute.
Do you realize the impact? And think about now as NIL and how much money guys are getting back. Think about how much money you guys would have made at Michigan and the impact that you've made to the culture and history.
Yeah, Mark, I think about that, especially too for guys like Ray Jackson and Jimmy King, the guys that it wouldn't have been five without us. I also think about like seniors that like Eric Riley and others, because we would have made sure our whole team got it with our personalities and what we did. And so I am happy for the kids today, and I hope, the dust settles so it's fair for everybody. But yeah, to say we don't think about that, or I text Jay and we laugh about it, sometimes, when we see these numbers, we be lying. But, I'm glad the game is changing, and that, people are benefiting off of their name and likeness, because, a lot of what I tried to put in the book too is to dispel a lot of the rumors and innuendos. And so going through that time when your name is valuable and you seeing jerseys being sold and you can't get a pizza card, those were frustrating times. And so, but I think that's what made our personality on the court kind of a us against everybody thing, and it all added to the fuel of us trying to do something that was never done before at that time, and that's five freshmen trying to lead a team to win a championship.
Now, let me ask you a question, piggybacking off of that, because I still get upset and frustrated about it. I don't know how you feel about it. When I watch these college coaches talk about something's got to be done, we're a couple of years in. We went 100, 200 years where y'all was making crazy money and jumping ship from university to university with no accountability. But now we got to find a way to figure this out because the rabbit got the gun. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, I think it's exposure. I think you're going to see some large names continue to retire because the jig is up. It's competition now, and I love it for the fairness of sports. When we grew up, you had to go to a certain college to make it, and now you've seen the Dame Lillards from WEBBER'S State, or Ben Wallace's and other guys like that. So I think like you said, it will settle and level the playing field, but also now a guy can go anywhere and do great and still make it to the league because of scouting, talent, and it's not just, he played for this coach and that coach. And so I think it does more than just put money in the pockets of these kids. I think it also allows kids to get a fair evaluation at a lot of different universities and not just have to be vouched for, by a certain coach or a style. So I love the evolution of it, and I can't wait till the dust settles. But like you said, the dust hadn't been settled on this side for 100 and some years. So, we can wait a few years to get it right.
Looking back at the Fab Five, y'all were 18, 19, 20 years old, but shaping the culture of basketball. At the time, did y'all realize the impact that y'all were having, or were y'all just playing ball and having fun?
We wanted to make an impact. We wanted to be ourselves. That's what I will honestly say. We wanted to be ourselves. We begged for longer shorts because we saw, the UNLVs and the Illinois before us. We wanted to elevate our game and be players with names on the back of the jerseys, because you couldn't have that at Indiana, or you couldn't talk in certain interviews, or we were frustrated, with seeing things and being like, come on, bro, we know you. It's okay to be yourself. And so we really embraced that. But I think to our generation at that time, because if you look at it, it was everything from In Living Color or Martin or Def Jam. It was like our generation, a lot of people was really trying to just enhance or show their personality and individuality. And we had got to see no-look passes from Magic and Mark. We wanted to take it to a next level. We wanted to do 360s or throw it off the backboard in the game, but what people didn't realize, in order to throw it off the backboard in the game, you got to get a steal. And so a lot of times, only our basketball peers would respect us, and that was frustrating. But, we were the first game I ever heard hip hop music at. And we had to beg and try to pay, people to do that, at the scorers table. And so we just, it's not like we saved the world or did anything different, but we did everything from getting praised at that time to getting death threats because of, racism at that time. So we didn't know it. We knew we were ready for something, but no, you don't know it until you look back and you say, oh my God, thank you for letting us get through that, because we were young and dumb and just full of, faith and hope back then.
The one thing about your life is it's a great movie and a great book because it has highs and lows. To touch on it real quickly, how you flipped it from something negative that could have destroyed a young kid is a timeout in the NCAA. You talked about how your mom was instrumental with a license plate that she had created. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I hope the book speaks to people in different ways, and however it speaks to them, I just hope it encourages them. And for a lot of people, I want you to understand that the way you love, that's all you have to give, the way that you love. And so if I had a mother that was, I'm a mama's boy. So if my mother would have been like, "Oh Lord, what we gonna do? My baby calling timeout," or "Oh, I can't," I don't know how it would have affected me because my father's a tough guy. I don't know. But my mother, I came home to get some food and loving it, and brothers making fun of me and back in the neighborhood and everything. And it's right before I'm deciding to go pro. And I'm hearing about, maybe I could be number one. And the blessing is it's only 3 months away, so I don't have that much time to lick my wounds. And I go home and my mother, who, man, she's quiet. She's, stoic. She comes in and she has a timeout license plate. And I was, I was like, "What you doing?" My brothers had already been killing me and joking with me. And she was just like, "No, baby, we're going to start a foundation." She was like, "You're going to show everybody that they have a moment, and it's about how you bounce back. And, that's nothing. You're going to," and she did it so nonchalantly, even though I know she knew what she was doing, but it was so nonchalant that it was almost like, yeah, I got a lot more to do. This moment is nothing. And so whether I've gone to prisons, whether I've gone to churches, whether I've gone to barbershops and talked to people, that moment of vulnerability, that moment of you can't do anything but just try to stand, we've all been there, And so being able to relate that and have done that in public, but then, have accountability. And at the time, I feel like really handled like a soldier by, I had just turned 20, maybe 30 days before that. So not to blame anyone, not to say anything or go with natural tendencies. You look back and you're proud of it. And, those things like with your mother doing that and the change and the influence I know we had through that foundation, it means a lot. But it's because, of their perspective, it keeps you accountable. You can't, feel too sorry for yourself when this is how someone thinks of you.
You talk about your mother in church, and I think we got something in common. I heard that you grew up singing in the choir too.
Man, I got this. Hey, Bluu, I got this tape, man. I'm doing this documentary, dog. I'm about to body myself because in the tape, you see me singing. I'm taller than my mom. I got on the same sweater at like 4 different services. But you hear my father go, "Sing, boy, sing." And I look at him like, oh man, yeah. So we were at church, man, every Sunday, twice on Sunday, Wednesday, and choir rehearsal Saturday. But the dope thing is that we had a hoop. We could always play. The kids could go outside. So we were getting definitely some great teaching. But it was our own little community. But yeah, man, it's some bad video out there of me singing. It's bad. It's bad.
Now, I guess the $1 million question is, because Bluu had a solo, did you have a solo?
Man, so this, oh man. So I used to go to, it was so bad, man. I used to go to weddings and sing with my mom and duets, you know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
oh yeah, and it was like a gimmick because I was real young, so they'd be clapping, but I'm awkward, standing up there looking crazy. But yeah, man, I had to do that, and then I had a solo, Jesus, You're the Center of My Joy. And what's crazy is that the pastor's wife, Miss London, was best friends with my mom. So any Sunday, she just might request it, request it. So one day, Jalen comes into church, man. The only day ever he come into church, and I knew it. This is my senior year of high school. I knew it. I looked to the side, and I see her getting up to whisper to one of the ushers, man. I had to go up there. I had to go up there and sing. That's hard, man, singing in front of your boys, man. So, yeah, some funny times, man. Some funny times. Wow.
That is classic. That is classic. But you touch on Jalen, and I tell you what was something that blessed me recently is the Fab Five reuniting again. Cutting it, for the culture, cutting the nonsense, no matter what it was. You talk about how you were raised and being a brother and what it means. Can you touch on that real quick?
Yeah. So, man, it's an incredible story. So I met Jalen when I was 12 years old. And what was really funny is that I played on this basketball team. I had a great game, and I did a TV interview, like one of the local TV shows. So my father says, we're going to try to get you on the team. He looks at UAW. They have this poster on the wall, and he calls this number, and I'm going to practice. So I go to this practice, man. Coach Curtis Hervey, I love him. But, man, this practice had no out of bounds and no fouls. And so can you imagine what happened? You know what I'm saying? It was the worst thing I ever been a part of. And first time I got cussed out. I mean, I'm talking about cussed out like I never heard before. And so I get to this practice. I'm in a fight with this dude Kevin Colson, this guy named Jalen, who just keep talking. This tall, skinny kid, he just keep talking. This guy Yapo, and I tell my father I'm never going back. And he's like, son, you asked me to go back. You have a 1-year commitment. It costs $120. I'll never forget the amount. It costs $120. And so, man, I did not want to go back, man. I was telling this team is terrible. And so I go back to next practice, you know, a couple weeks later, you know, a bunch of good things happen. I'm ready for it. You know, we all talking to each other. Make a long story short, man, we were all best friends from that day at 12 years old. And our team was the Super Friends, right? And so when I talk about the Fab Five kind of being born then, Jawan, Jalen, and myself were really close in high school. And Jawan really is the reason that we all went to school together. But Jalen and I wanted to go to school together in high school. And once we couldn't, in the situation I told you about, my father playing in college, it was like, oh, wait a minute, this is our chance. So we really were living college like it was high school because we had promised each other to play with each other many years before we got to Michigan.
Well, if we could jump a little bit into the NBA, your NBA career, the Sacramento Kings lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. Were y'all robbed? The tough questions.
Yeah, we were robbed. We were cheated, but we should have won Game 7. So yeah, we were robbed all the way up to Game 6, but we had a shot Game 7. And Game 7, we missed free throws. Game 7, you know, that's a game I think that one of the only games, or the only game I can remember, where the energy of the game before took so much out of it that you just holding on for hope, you know. But yeah, Game 6 is incredible. I remember backing up, posting up, saying nobody fouled this play. And I remember the ref blowing the whistle, saying, "Oh, nobody gonna foul," you know. It was an incredible time. But you know, if you're gonna lose, you got to lose to the greatest that ever did it, with Kobe and Shaq, the most powerful twosome, and you know, Horry and Phil on the side. So you know, it took a lot, but and they deserved it. But yeah, I make sure Shaq and rest in peace Kobe. I used to text him all the time, like, you know, just drop my ring off at the crib. But yeah, we got
I tell you what, that Sacramento Kings team was absolutely loaded top to bottom. The energy in that building was the best in the league, in my opinion. The noise, the crowd, the passing ability of both bigs, the shooting ability. You guys were certainly. That's why I don't look at it like champion. There are teams that didn't win a championship that are better than teams that won a championship.
Yeah.
It has to do with when you play, who you play against. But you guys represented in a big time way, and it was, like I said, it was absolutely loaded.
Let me ask you something, Mark. When you took over Golden State, right? Y'all ran the corner offense, right?
Different actions of it, yes.
Different actions of it, because when I see them play all the way through the dynasty, from when you had them to recently, that's one of the things that I really love. And you know, it's a success league or a copycat league, or the smart people take certain aspects, and whether Don Nelson and what he did with bigs handling the ball, or you know, whether it's you saying early that you got the best two shooters in the league, so you have to make a flow for them. But when I watch Golden State and see Draymond in his role, the dribble handoff, cutting, passing, or the fact that Steph is the best three-point shooter in the world. I used to say this when you were coaching, but the only reason why he's the best three-point shooter in the world is two reasons. Because one, he can shoot, but two, you never know when he's going to shoot because he cuts with integrity, and he's going to, the minute you think you're ready for him shooting a three, he's going to get a two, because he doesn't equate a three being that much more important as getting the right shot. And so when I used to see you guys playing offenses like that, that's when I think about Sacramento, being able to give it to Peja, or the back cut to Hito, or being able to have that flow, playing with people in the first quarter. They don't know what you're going to do in the fourth quarter with the same action. So you know what it's like. But that's the best part about Sac, was that cohesiveness we had on and off the court.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because you talked about all of that action, and you are in the discussion for best passing big man of all time. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I definitely, especially if you're not talking about like guards, like Magic and them. But no, I definitely feel that way. And the main reason I feel that way, Mark, is because I felt like I was always on. I always had great players around me, but I felt like my job was to get mine and get everybody else theirs. That's what I felt. So it was important to me to make sure that a guy off the bench got the right shot. And he can get the right shot if I'm giving it to him and he's not out there taking bad shots and we don't have it. And I felt the more we get guys confidence of their spots or playing their game, the less superhero and rogue ball you have, the less fights you have. Because I've had games where I've missed 5 in a row and I've come down on a 2-on-0 and the guard is giving me the ball and let me lay it up and I've had to shake his hand like, thank you, let me touch the ball, And so I felt like my job was just as important to score and to make sure I could score, but I've just been on teams where I could get as many as I want, but if everybody else ain't feeling it, we're not going to win. So I wanted to make players better. So, yeah, I felt like I concentrated on being a great passer.
It must make you have an appreciation for Joker and how he plays then.
Oh, I love how Joker plays. I mean, I love how he plays. And the fact that he could play like that with no pace, without that much speed, and the fact that he uses his size. But, yeah, his IQ as well. And I think IQ is just, of course, understanding what's going on, but it's what do you want to happen? And so he's already thinking before someone's cutting that I'm going to get him this time. And also, it keeps the offense hopping. I used to tell guys, if you just cut with integrity, you might not get it every time, but when you get it, it's on you. And so those Bobby Jackson and Doug Christie would keep it going. So, but yeah, I love players. I love players that can get 40 that still get everybody involved. And the Joker's definitely that type of guy.
Number 1 pick for the Golden State Warriors. What was that like? And then wound up winning Rookie of the Year. How about those moments in Oakland playing for the Warriors?
Man, it was almost overwhelming. After the timeout too, the draft was in Detroit. You might be a conspiracy theorist and be like, how was the draft with New York with Patrick Ewing and was the envelope frozen? And I think about my, career, how was it in Detroit? That's the only time it's ever been there. And so to be able to come out in front of my hometown and do that was great. And then I wanted to play with Big Shaq, and I thought, I'm just going to try to average a triple-double. But going out to California was one of the best things ever, playing with Chris Muller, your partner, and I tried to mimic everything he did. I had never seen anybody make 20 jump shots in a row or play the way that he played, and Spree and Billy Owens, Avery Johnson. Billy and Spree took me under their wing, and the same with Mully. So it was a great first year, man. I love the Bay Area. It's like the West Coast Detroit anyway. So it was a blessing being the number 1 pick. And then Rookie of the Year, it was something, man, I always dreamed of. With what you did, and to be able to do it in New York, and then Derek Coleman from home, I watched him do it, and so I just really wanted to have an impact. And the guys at Golden State, they really made it so that I could have an impact, and so it was just a blessing to be there.
Now, see, Webb, on a side note, I heard that you love music and you make beats.
Yeah, I haven't made beats in a minute, but yeah, I definitely make beats, man. I've always tried to make beats. I used to take my little studio on the road with me in the league, and so couldn't sleep at night, those type of things. So yeah, sit in the room and make beats. I heard you work with Nas. Yeah, I made 2 beats for Nas, some other artists, but 2 beats for Nas. Blunt Ashes with Nas, and then Surviving the Times on his greatest hits. So right there, that's, one of the best moments, outside of basketball that you can have, is working with, one of the greatest MCs that ever stepped on the planet. So yeah, that's something I'll never forget.
This dude just flexed on us. He just flexed on us.
I just made a couple,
You talking about, I used to just take it on the road and go on the bus. Like, what the?
Yeah, man.
That's a big deal. That's fun.
Yeah,
That's
man. A friend
crazy.
of mine, you know, I had a friend of mine, Magi in Detroit, and KG from Naughty by Nature. In the summers, I would go out and hang out with them, stay at their houses and stuff like that, and just watch them in the studio. And I had a studio in DC, and I would let a lot of artists record there as long as they just let me watch the process. You know what I mean? Because I was a big
Yeah.
fan, and so just love making beats, man. Love music, you know, all type of music. Being from Detroit, it's everything from Anita Baker to, you know, E40, it doesn't matter, or M, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, man, love music. Yeah.
Dope.
Who is the greatest rapper that's ever lived?
Oh, man, that's tough. Oh, wow. You're gonna put, that's, yeah, man, KRS-One.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go. All right.
people mad at me. Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's a good call. You can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
We talked about Sacramento. We talked about Golden State. I talked to my guy yesterday, Rod Strickland. He talked about to ask you how disappointed he was when you was traded away from Washington. He said you was absolutely the guy, and he never had a pick and roll option like you ever again.
Man, playing with the New York point guards, man. So Rod Strickland shout out to Rod. I mean, he led the league in assists, I think, when I was there, and he's the best finisher I've ever seen under. I mean, it doesn't surprise me him and Kyrie have some type of correlation in relationship, because before Kyrie, he was the best finisher to me under 6'4" that played the game. But our team was young, man, and I just kept saying, just somebody just believe in us one more time. We had Jordan on the East Coast. Wasn't nothing gonna happen anyway.
You're preaching to the choir.
With our team, it was just like, man, come on, just believe. And we were getting better, and you just thought, come on, organization, you see these steps we're taking. You see the maturity. You see the fact that we're really invested here, and we're recruiting friends to come play here. So, yeah, playing with Rob, man, that was one of the best times. I love DC, Chocolate City, and, man, the fans there are the craziest as well. So that was a good time. Yeah.
Well, moving to today's game, you got a pick for who you got the championship going to early, C-Web?
Oh, man. You know, I like Boston. But I will say I have not had faith in Phoenix, and I'm gonna try to have faith in Phoenix. Like, I want to see Phoenix do something. I don't know if that can happen, but I want to see. I want to see them fight for something and do something, because that firepower that when they first had the trade, I thought, you know, would equal Boston. But I just like Boston because they play the right way. I hope it's not 93s a game, that type of thing, but watching them defensively on assignments, they're communicating, just the small things, guys not going rogue, like getting up and keeping it up and then, you know, getting the game over with. Those are things that it takes a minute as a team to learn. And I don't know if you can catch up with it with guys being hurt or playing limited games, because you can't just turn it on in the playoffs. And so Boston seems to turn it on, you know, from day one.
You just made me think of something, because I'm watching you and I'm trying to imagine you in today's game, which is, it would be a terror, it would be a serious problem. And then I think about what Anthony Edwards said about players in the 90s and yesterday not being able to fit in today's game. How crazy is that?
You know what, man, that when I was commentating, I would get so frustrated, because I remember going to Bill Russ and them saying, you know, if Shaq played against Wilt, just tell me, you know, or tell me who was faster or how they look. And he was like, I really can't, you know, compare Ghost. And my thing is, you never hear in baseball, I've never heard somebody say Babe Ruth couldn't hit the pitches today. Like, I just never have heard that, right? Like, you don't even think about it. And I'm sure the pitches are stronger today, the curves are better. So I think it's ridiculous what he said. And him being a great player and a fan, you know, I hope he really didn't mean it like that. Because if you're good in skills, you're gonna get better at whatever you practice. You know what I mean? I played in the day where they didn't let big men lead the 3-on-2 drill. You know what I mean? Or if you made 2 threes in a row, you know, it was more accountability then as well. Like, you know, you can't take as many bad shots as you do today just because you're open. You had to be, you know, you have to be there for your teammates and say, wait, I know I don't shoot these in practice. I shouldn't shoot this today. Let me make an extra dribble. So it disappoints me when, you know, people get caught up with, you know, never could have played. I get, you know, Kuzi only dribbled his right. I get everything like that. But I think you got to honor those that came before you, because all it is timing. They would have done the same thing that you would have done they would have done the same thing if allowed. And I just don't think they look at the coaching and what was allowed. The coaching, if we could Euro step back in the day, how many more travels it wouldn't be. Remember the year they called everything on the carry because trying to make Allen Iverson was demonized. They said Allen Iverson couldn't score like that today. So I don't even listen, man. Forgive them. They don't know what they're talking about.
And you saw Allen Iverson up close, and I think he's got an unfair. People don't give him the credit that he deserves, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being. The guy is. I still talk to him. He'll call me, at any time, and just want you to know I love you. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you or respect you. And the guy has a heart as good as anybody's ever played the game.
He's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. He's a mama's boy. He has a heart. He's a great big brother to family members, and I just I love him. It's funny. He's the best player I've ever played on a team with.
Wow.
I played with him late in my career, and we were both battling injuries going on. I watched him get 60 so easy. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Like, he could have easily been in a dunk contest and maybe won it. If you see him like that. He could scratch his knees from just standing up because his arms are so long. He could throw a football, 70 yards in the air. He used to. It's so funny. Every time I hear that quote, practice about AI, I remember being on that team and being like, he going to mess up practice because what he does in the game, he does in practice. So what you going to do? What you going to trap him? All right, go trap him. He scored. Now the defense feel bad for themselves and can't do anything. It's Allen Iverson, so it doesn't stop. But he played so hard, man. He played so hard every night. I watched him get banged up, get beat up. He played with hockey pads on, not with, the football size. He played with the full hockey pads on because, he knew he was going to get beat up. So, yeah, man, he doesn't get the credit on the court or off the court he deserves.
And to me, it makes sense to not ask him to play 47 minutes, carry the load, and then show up the next morning. We were practicing 2 hours back then. It made no sense for him to practice.
Mark, but just think about that, Mark. That's why players, the business of basketball, players should just get to appreciate, the fact that Russell and them had to play with shoes with no structure and still play the next night and not have ice and, all the things that we had, heat packs to get us ready. And then you're talking about guys like that. Like when we played, they took years off our career in practice when no one was watching. If you lost the game, you had to play a next game in practice to prove your worthiness to your coach. You know what I mean? And now we got guys, not only management, but guys saying they're not going to play a certain time. And I'm not criticizing whatever's going on now, but you got to take into context how different it was then, because trying to play 70 games then and getting through all the practices was harder than 82 games because, again, you know what it is. So, yeah, I get frustrated with the comparisons because I don't hear that in any sport except basketball.
Well, are there any players or memories that stand out to you as far as battles that you had?
Man, yeah. There's memories with all the best power forwards. I would have to, in a week, it could have easily been Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Dirk Nowitzki. And that's just to name who it was then at that time. So you got to step out against Dirk. You got to do everything against Rasheed. You got crazy KG yelling and coming at you. And Tim is not only a monster, but he got David Robinson behind him in case you get by him. So I just remember every night you just had to be focused and ready. But that was also a good thing when you wanted to prove who you were. So, yeah, no, I just remember how tough and fun the West Coast was playing in because you got a little more pace. You got to go up and down, show your skill set a little bit more. And the big fellas over here, you had to earn it every night.
No question about it. You talked about the business of basketball. Going back, you had to pay a price, and coaches or management hated on you because you thought about the business at a very early age. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so I didn't wonder. I always wondered how you come your rookie of the year, and you come from Michigan. People are happy that you did what you did there, but then the narrative changed so fast with my rookie year with Don Nelson. And definitely I take responsibility. Don't want to rehash it or for whatever it was, but I know a lot of it was because of a contract I signed. So I went and got a CPA. I was one of the first number one picks to get a CPA instead of an agent. He worked with Bill Strick and another agent, and they came up with something where it was a 1 year out after a 15-year contract. It was taking a risk from the fact that, what if you don't have a good season? You'll be locked into it, but it was a good number, 75 at that time, which was the largest contract ever at the time for a rookie. But the best part about it was I had an out after year one. And so, as you know, if any rookie, Aaron Judge, if number one pick last year can get out and sync up, with the free agent contract after having a hell of a rookie year, that's what I was able to do. And so when I put myself in position with that, it was a little bit too aggressive because at that time, it was, hey, players are going to have too much power. Other guys are going to do it. So they stopped that rule, and then the next year I went and played for a 1 year rule, and then they stopped that too, where you couldn't just play, couldn't sign a 1 year deal. So we tried to test the limits and understand what the business of ball was about. But I'm glad I had some good people around me.
That's one thing I don't think LeBron James gets enough credit for. As great as a basketball player that he is and continues to be, he changed the game by making people aware of just how much power the players have and utilizing it.
Man, you're so right. I mean, he's a great player, and we can argue where he is, but off the court, I don't know if anyone has had the impact. You think even the rule about your agent necessarily having to graduate and other things, the fact that he made sure that not only was his friend prepared and a great man and prepared at what he did, but he also challenged the system. And I think that it's good when you did that, because a lot of other young men want to aspire to be in those positions as well. And so, yeah, I think when you look at Bron's business acumen and what he's decided to do, I mean, it's incredible. I think it's unmatched. So I definitely agree with you on that, Mark.
Let's see, how big of a role does basketball play in your everyday life now?
Well, I watch, I communicate with some teams, and I still want to be. I still, have aspirations to be part of an organization.
Excuse me.
Now, I still have aspirations to be part of an organization. So whether through ownership or upper management, so it's a big part, and hopefully I can use my gifts and still win a championship. It's a lot of time left.
Well, the game needs you, and it certainly miss you, and you've done an incredible job representing basketball and all you stand for. And talking about, I watched your Hall of Fame speech again last night, and again, with tears in my eyes, as you acknowledge, obviously, the highlighted people in your life. But then a lady like Miss Stern, I don't even know her, but we've all had Miss Stern in our life at some point that impact us, that don't get to shine. You gave her flowers, and I thought that was powerful. Can you just talk about her influence on your life?
Yeah, so Mrs. Stern, she was like my mother, one of the strict teachers at school, and so I went to a small school and was getting bullied and all that stuff because I was always the tallest, so I was always with guys 2-3 years older than me, so I was an easy target. And she would, one day after class, she had me come over there, and I thought I was in trouble, and she just started encouraging me, like, I see something in you, don't believe. Just don't believe it. Just stay focused. And she started talking about this man named Jackie Robinson. And then the next week, she would talk about baseball. And the next week, she would continue talking about all these heroes. And so to come to find out later, one, she really encouraged me. And at this time of being 10, 11, 12 years old, it could only speak to me later in life. She was putting it inside of me. But later I found out that her husband, Turkey Stearns, is the #1 home run hitter of all time in the Negro Leagues. Now, we already know that the Negro League baseball players were better at that time, and so he had over 75 more than #2 in the game. But what was crazy is that he worked at GM, and at this time he couldn't play for the Tigers, but he worked at GM, and the owner of GM owned the Tigers, and he worked in the factory of this place where he couldn't even play for the baseball team the owner worked. And so I always wondered, what did she deal with when she was telling us of nights of running from city to city with the Klan chasing her. I've seen Bingo on the All-Stars, but her stories were, real life. And so I just saw her family, and she was inducted into the Major League, or her husband was inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. But when you look back and you see the energy of people that said, let me talk to you and you're special, now I look at her life, and she took time out of that life to pour something in me is crazy. And that's just what I hope that we all do. And as athletes, and Bluu, you said something to a young kid and you've seen that look in his eyes. It's not necessarily for you to know what changed, what he was going through. That's not it. It's to give him that spark to keep on going, and he'll figure the rest out later. And it was people like her. I can't believe that she would take time to me when her husband went through that. So it's just an honor to see, when you look back, the angels that were put in your life to help you get through your journey.
Another angel we have that's similar. I remember playing at St. John's, playing in Madison Square Garden, being a young player, and I go to the game, a Knick game, and I'm standing in the tunnel watching a guy warm up. He steps up off the floor and he says to me, I watched you in college. You got a real chance, young fella. It was the great Isaiah Thomas. He also impacted you. And I think about that moment like, I thought, I got a chance. If Isaiah says something to me, I got a real chance.
So one of my young boys in college, he got a chance to go to KD's house, and I don't know KD, but he said watching KD, he was like, it made me believe I could do it. And me, I'm like, I already see you could do it. I'm almost like, I should tell you could do it, but I get it. And I'm going through all this. People are saying you shouldn't go to country day. People are saying, if you don't play in the city, you're not going to be the player that you are. And these are people that don't know ball. You know what I mean? It's just people that just throwing it. But at the time, you don't know. And those heads, those voices in your head can really affect you. And so Isaiah came to my house in high school. He called my parents, first of all, or got our number for some coaches, called and asked could he come speak to me. He said that he saw an interview and that he just wanted me to know that, whatever I needed, he was there for me, that he had been through this before, to watch what people you hang around, what decisions you make, and, not to make any agreements with people. And so him coming to me and talking to me just made me have so much more confidence that I didn't need to focus on what everyone else was focusing on, because someone that has seen what I'm trying to get to has said it's going to be okay. And that takes the anxiousness away and just allows you to focus on being the best athlete and person you could be. And Isaiah, I could never repay him for what he's done for me.
Now, did KG ever trash talk you?
You know what? No, because we both were crazy. So we saw the and his rookie year, he says something to me, and we got into it, and it was just that. So much so, when KG was my favorite player, when Mark, like, it ain't like today. Like, I made sure to avoid them all summer. I didn't want them knowing how I worked out. I didn't want them knowing my routine. I didn't want them knowing nothing about me, because I admired his game, and we knew we had a connection, and I was like, we're both crazy. We'll be cool with each other after we get out the league. So, no, we didn't talk that much to each other, but we went at it, boy. We went at it, yeah.
But you're very familiar about when he knew he had a weak link.
Oh, no, no. KG, no, I know he liked talking, but no, I didn't. No, I know he liked talking, but we never got into it, though. You're making me want to play right now, man.
Let me ask you, is there a player or a team that you enjoy watching the most right now?
Man, I love watching OKC. I love watching Houston. I like watching those teams grow. I think they're well coached, and I want to see what OKC does this year, especially after being number one last year. This is the year to either fall off heavily or to stay consistent, and I think they're going to stay consistent. So I like Gilgeous-Alexander. I like their team the way it is. So OKC right now is probably my favorite to watch.
How shocked are you or impressed are you with how the WNBA has taken off and exploded?
I love it. I love it. I'm glad. I think shooting in the 3-point line has really helped the WNBA as well. When you look at the fact that you can have some dudes in the barber top, talk junk about how they could beat this girl or post her up. Well, let's go out and shoot these threes. What you want to do then? So I think it's just showed the skill set, of the ladies and how they get down. So just as a when we were in Sacramento, the Monarchs with Yolanda Griffin and Tisha Penachero, we would go to the games and just watch them ball. Tina Thompson at the time, and Houston and their great players. So I've always been a fan of the women's game, and now I'm glad that it's finally getting their just due.
It's a fun time to enjoy the women's game. And I see the similarities where the skill set of these players, the same in the NBA today and the WNBA, it is elevated. Now, I make the case they're not as smart as we were, but they are certainly more skilled as far as the ability to shoot, handle the basketball, versatility. It is elevated the game.
It has, and I think that's the elevation of coaching and opportunity and going. And again, I think anything you practice at with the skill set and the level of intensity that we did, and what these young dudes do as professionals, I think you're going to get there. But in '86, Curry would have got benched for shooting and making a shot. He could have did it 5 times in a row and still gotten benched the next game because coach wanted to show that this is his team and we don't do things that way. So I'm glad that the game has grown and allowed players to grow with it because, you look at Pistol Pete. No, come on. If Pistol plays, I'm just saying, you got to take into account his scoring averages with no 3-point line. You
Right.
know what I mean? If Patrick Ewing today, I just heard someone say I just heard something crazy about Patrick Ewing and he shouldn't be a player. And I'm just like, with his size, he stepped out and hit the pick and roll jumper in and was criticized for shooting over 50%. And today, if he could do that with his size and defensive acumen, you know what I mean? So again, I just want to remind people this, what we were allowed to do and in what context. That's it. And these guys are much more skilled because they are allowed to prove what skill does as opposed to being limited by an offense that does not want them to take advantage of that skill set because it's not worth it within the bigger scheme of things. So, yeah, it's just but the game is evolving, man. I love it. And Kevin Durant is something that I never thought I'd see before. And I wish he would just say he was 7'1" because he's 7 feet. He's 7 feet. And I wish he would say that to just let people know the big fellas are back. But watching guys like him, 2 pull-up dribbles, just so smooth, so skilled, and unstoppable, it's fun, man. It makes me wish I could have seen what the Iceman was doing back in the day.
Now, let me ask you, because you just made me think of something. They say the greatest team ever assembled never lost. That's not quite true because in the scrimmage game against you and your crew, y'all beat the Dream Team.
No doubt.
Is that accurate?
No doubt. No doubt. 100%. I don't care if they stopped the clock early or whatever. I thought it was such a disrespect. If I was Scottie Pippen, if I was Karl Malone, if I was John Stockton, it's such disrespect to say, oh, they were winning, but I looked on the side and noticed Michael Jordan was sitting down. Y'all the best players in the world. Y'all the best players in the world. What Jordan got to do with this? First of all, with Jordan. And if Jordan didn't play, it's still a story. It's still a story. So, yeah, man.
It is.
But I'm just going to tell you, it was like, I'm telling you, whenever I watch these movies and, you got guys crying and spitting and all that, that's what that moment was like for me because it was like, guys, we get to play against our heroes. It was no Instagram. It was no behind the scenes. We only had bloopers and basketball bloopers and things like that. Right? We didn't have access. And I'm actually looking at Magic and saying, wow, those are the Converse. Or looking at Jordan or the other players or Chris Mullin. And it was something like, this is all we got, fellas. It really was like that. We walked in, we looked, and we were scared. Then we got in there, and it was just like, let's try to beat our heroes, man. So to me, that was one of the best moments. And then to see how cool they were and encouraging and kind they were after. But we beat them. But the next day, we did not score in a point. Now think about that. We should have been able to score 1 point. We did not score. Right. They were denying like drills, everything. No talking to us, elbows. rebounding, dunking. You know what I mean? So they knew they wouldn't have played that hard if they had let us win. But yeah, we won that one. They can't take that away. Matter of fact,
And who are some of the guys on your team?
Oh man, we had my man Rodney Rogers, and that's when Bird hit him in the corner. And he came in the corner, and Bird said, "Welcome to the Parachute Club," and then hit a three on him. We had Bobby Hurley, who was quick and was penetrating. We had Grant Hill, Allen Houston was shooting threes. Eric Montrose, Jamal Mashburn, Penny Hardaway. We had Penny
And y'all
Hardaway.
did not score?
Huh? No. We didn't score. They was like, hey man, they was playing with us the next day. We saw how real, and I'm glad they did that to us, because if they would have just let us win, we would have probably walked away with a distorted vision of the game. That just let us know, like, yeah, that was lucky. Y'all got through that, but y'all better go work on y'all game, because David Robinson, Ewing, all those guys, they wasn't playing with us. We did not score. That was crazy. Free throw, nothing. We didn't score. Yeah.
Last question for me. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
That's a good one. To me, the greatest basketball player of all time is Michael Jordan. I gotta go with Mike, just for the time it was in my life, for beating my bad boys. I think people take for granted, like when we used to watch the news every Sports Center every day, and Tiger was winning 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5 every day, every Sunday after church, singing up there, whatever. You go in there and Jordan is giving you 45, Christmas, winning championships. And I also think because we got to see his story, you know, the fact that I got to see him leave baseball for baseball when his father passed away. You know, watching him hug that trophy and feeling like, you know, you were there for those moments. So, yeah, for me, you know, Jordan definitely had the most impact.
You got any solo in you? Jesus is the center of my joy. You got any?
No, I ain't got none of that right now. I come to your church or something.
The book is called By God's Grace, the great C. Webb. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Nothing but love, respect, and appreciation for you and all you've done and continue to do, man. Love you, bro.
Hey, love you too.
Appreciate you, legend.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
That was great, Pops. Shouts out to the legendary Chris Webber. Don't forget, click the link in the description. Shouts out to Underdog. They are matching a first-time deposit up to $1,000. Use the promo code MARK. That's MARK. You can get a specialty pick as well. Appreciate y'all.
Remember, I was watching the World Series pregame show, and my guy Derek Jeter, analyst for baseball, said he likes to see when players struggle. He said he likes to see when players fail. It tells you a lot about a person, how they bounce back. Old preacher said trials and tribulations is transportation for where you're going to. This just in, I don't know who I'm talking to, but embrace the struggle. It's taking you somewhere. Blessings.